All right. And sister, put the mouse in the corner, please. Away, 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 away. Oh, we do have someone who is new that joined us. I thought that was you. Okay. Hello. Not sure who has joined us. Maria, we do have someone. So thank you for joining. We'll get started right now. So yes, this is our third webinar for Maria and I, and it is on creative ways to avoid screen time. And we're super excited to get into this. And yeah, let's see what is, I'll introduce myself really quickly. I am Laura. I am a mother of 2 children. So Jacob is 6.5 and Zoe is 2.5. And I live in Hanoi, and I've been teaching here for over 5 years. And I have over 10 years of classroom experience and over 25 years of childcare experience. So thanks for joining. And Maria?
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us. And if you watch that later, please also feel welcome, and you can still put on your questions into the comments. So my name is Maria. I'm a mother of 3. My oldest son is 8, then my daughter is 5, and my little one is 4 months old. And I'm working since a couple of years now in education as an education specialist, helping parents to raise kind of happy learners and creative minds with really simple ideas. And we're going to share some of those ideas with you later in this webinar. We have been living for over 10 years on the African continent, in Western Africa and in Ethiopia, and are now also in Hanoi. So this is where Laura and I teamed up to bring to you this Montessori for Parents conversations. Happy you joined.
All right.
And with that, I think we can have a look into the agenda. Yes. So we have prepared for you a quite packed agenda, because we got lots of very interesting questions, and we really want to make sure that we help you to get started to reduce screen time. I think this is what brings most of you into this parent class today. We were going to start with the question, why are children resorting to screens in the first place? So what makes screens so attractive to children, but also to us as parents? We will then share with you some ways, step-by-step, really simple ways to start reducing screen time in a positive way, so that you will not end up in huge power struggles because you reduce the screens. And we'll share some ways to do that. And finally, we want to share with you interesting activities. So what are some creative ways we can take to step by step to take action to reduce screen time? And there we will share some really concrete activities with you that you can start implementing as of this weekend. And we hope that that will really help you in getting started. And with that, let's dive into the topic and the why. So why are children resorting to screens in the first place? If we can go to the next slide. Yes. So you see on that picture, this boy, he looks really into screens. So there is something that screens do with our children, right? We have all realized that. And I want to ask Laura, you, because your son got an iPad for Christmas, I think, right? He's 6 years old. And I think you probably made some interesting observations. What did that do with him, and why is it so attractive?
Oh, yes, he did. For Christmas, he got his first iPad. So I guess he's joined the club. But, you know, screens, they are attractive. They're fun. They're bright. They're, you know, you can connect them with your friends from other places and play games that way. You know, there are a lot of games, educational and otherwise, to watch. YouTube on the go. You know, what kid doesn't like that, right? So they're attractive. They're fun. You know, and it is a way to, you know, absorb time for children, right? But you know, it's a habit, and it becomes a really quick habit. And I've learned that with my son really, really quickly. You know, he'll start to go to places. Mommy, is there Wi-Fi here? Is there Wi-Fi? You know, so it becomes a habit, and you know, it's kind of our job to get a handle on it while they're younger, and even try to kind of reverse the habit as they're older. So, you know, the educational games and the kids being interested in it is all fun, but we need to learn how to get away from that. So, you know, we have to understand why are children resorting to the screens, and what does that really have to do with the parents? You know, Maria, how can the parents, you know, see the why in why we're doing this to our children?
Yes, and let's switch over to the next slide to see some of the ideas on that. Yes, so I think, yeah, screens are attractive to and always, you know, even addictive to children. But there's also something that we as parents obviously do to get ourselves into that situation. And I think a lot of you probably feel, you know, we as parents, we are kind of super busy. And putting our children in front of a movie or an educational game or, you know, whatever screen, or giving them the phone in the car is really helping us to keep them quiet and calm. It kind of fixes their attention on that screen, right? And it really helps to keep them quiet. So it's quite handy, isn't it? And at the same time, what we want to make you aware today is that there are some negative parts to it. So although, you know, it keeps them quiet and it kind of occupies them if we don't have any other idea how to entertain them, and we even believe, you know, that educational games on the screen are helpful for our children to learn, we have to be quite cautious. So a lot of the screen time that our children spend, I would say, you know, it's not only because the children are requesting it, but also because it's kind of easy for us as parents to do that. So we want to challenge you today a little bit to get out of that easiness and to get committed to reducing screen time with your kids. Let's move on. So a lot of you ask us the question, how much really is too much, right? That's a question that we're all asking ourselves. We have those screens, we see our children, but also other children in front of the screen. If we go to the restaurant, if we're sitting in the car, if we, you know, visit somebody in an afternoon, or if we are busy in the kitchen and our kids watch a movie. So what is too much and what is recommended? If you look at research, there's quite a lot of research actually on the benefits, but also the challenges with screen time. And what is in general recommended, what we also would recommend to you, is really none to very, very limited screen time before 2 years old. I know a lot of you have smaller kids, so that's really something very important to keep in mind. Kids below 2 years should not be exposed to screens. And 1 hour more or less per day is recommended for children between 2 and 5. Beyond that, obviously, you know, they might consume a little bit more screens, but still in a moderate way. They should not spend the whole day in front of the TV or in front of the iPad. You also asked the question, what does that do with our kids? Like, what are the consequences if my child spends a lot of time in front of the screen? And again, research is quite clear on that and really shows how negative it can be. So it can lead to speech delays because obviously the children are not talking. And you take away that time that you interact and you communicate with your child if your child is watching a movie. It can also lead to behavior problems, with children becoming very cranky or overexcited, not being able to sleep well, and needing to, you know, having more tantrums than usually. You probably observed, I guess, even some of those behavior problems. So the development of our children really depends on them not being exposed too much to screens. And the last recommendation I would also like to give you is really no screens 1 hour before sleeping, because it can really affect their sleep. And even if it's nothing scary they watch, it will, you know, help them to find rest if they don't watch anything 1 hour before going to bed. So those are some recommendations. Now the question obviously is how. What can we do to reduce screen time? So you probably told yourself, oh my gosh, like my child is watching much more than 1 hour per day, right? So that is probably a situation for a lot of us. So how can we get our children to reduce screen time? And let's move on to our next slide. And I want to ask Laura again, because the Montessori way has some really kind of interesting tips for parents, how you can, set the tone and reduce and get into a process in a positive way without ending up in huge power struggles. And here are some of our ideas in the next slide. And over to you, Laura.
Yes, as we've stated in previous webinars, and we will state in upcoming webinars for sure, process takes time. So this is a process of change and consistency. So just being patient with the process, because I'm sure a lot of you are maybe have children who have been addicted to screens a lot longer than others. Like I said, my son has just gotten his iPad since Christmas. So he's asking for it, but I don't think, oh, we went too far. We're just done now. Yeah, there you go. And yeah, so we just want you to really know that this is going to take some time. We're going to give some really great ideas, and to just trust the process. Okay, so stick to the routine and be consistent, and just allow your relationship to grow with your children. So right next, excuse me. Yeah, so we're going to get into, how are some of the step-by-step ways, and it's really exciting. So I've spoken about it before with tantrums, and I'm a huge advocate for giving the last 5 minutes. It can do, with TV time, when you're done playing with toys, and this is a great way to avoid tantrums. Like I said, it's been brought up in our previous webinars, and it will be in future ones, the last 5 minutes, and then getting your child to understand that's what you've just said, not just yelling at them and thinking or hoping that they heard you. It's how many minutes, and it's exactly what I do with Jacob. How many minutes left, Jacob? 5 minutes. I've done this at the pool, last 5 minutes swimming time, last 5 minutes in the bath, and then how many minutes, Jacob? 5 minutes. There's been the odd time where he goes, 10. And I go, okay, how about 1? And he goes, okay, 5. So last 5 minutes is very important. They're prepared for what's about to happen, and then you get them to turn it off. Don't go and you turn it off because it's been 5 minutes and 1 second. It's okay, it's 5 minutes. You can even give the choice. Would you like to turn it off, or do you want me to turn it off? So would you like to pack away the iPad, or do you want to give it to me and I'll pack it away? So choices is also good. So family, oh, sorry, I just did something here. So, setting a good example for your children is huge. You cannot expect them to follow in a routine and to start to change if you don't. Okay, so you don't want them to watch TV, but then you're sitting there on your phone checking your email or sending a text, or whatever the case may be. Your children see that. They see that, they pick that up, and then they wonder, oh, they might not say it, but oh, you've just told me no screens and no more TV time, but you're on your phone. So you need to set a good example. These are really good behavioral attributes that we can pass on to our children, right? Practice what you preach. So, and again, we've spoken it before, consistency. So sticking to the same rules, the same, doesn't matter where you are. And this went back to picky eaters as well in our previous webinar. Be consistent. Don't think, oh, you're in a car and you're in a long ride there somewhere. Okay, just give them the iPad because they're crying. It's not. And Maria and I will both talk about exactly some other things that you can resort to other than the screens that will help with the process of getting away from them. Because if they don't have anything else, if you don't have a backup plan, then yes, a screen is an easy way to resort to, or turning on the TV because you think they have nothing else to do. We're going to give you some concrete next activities and things to do to stay away from the screens. But being consistent, children need that. They can't think, okay, I can't do it at home, but then you let me at grandma and grandpa's house, or I can't do it here, but I can do it here, but then I can't here and I can here. So you'll come up with, a guideline, the rules, and you need to stick to them. For those children who are really, really addicted, it might take some time. But if they know that you're consistent about it and there's no changing your mind, they'll get over it. So, and just one last thing I want to mention real quick is avoid no's. As we've stated in tantrums, right? And kids who are really addicted to the screen and stuff, if they ask you, oh, can I watch TV? Can I? And you're no. Guess what it's going to start? It's going to start a tantrum. It's going to start a war. It's going to start, a power struggle. And that's not what our goal is. Our goal is, okay, so avoid the no. Oh, okay, that you'd like to watch TV. Okay, I hear what you're saying. So let's see how the rest of today goes. Or today is Thursday, and remember our TV time is on Fridays. But thank you. I understand that you're really interested. I hear you. But again, just avoiding the word no and trying to use some other things. I can give you some more examples if you wanted to know more later. But really sticking to consistency in the rules. And if you start flipping back and forth, the kids don't understand and they're not sure what rules apply when and where. So Maria, what are some other ways that, we can reduce step by step the screens from children?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it already, the really important ones, right? The no, and last 5 minutes and be consistent. Another really, really easy way for you to think about how to reduce screens is just shut off the background screens. So if you do another activity, be it, eating, playing, talking, whatever you are engaged with your child, just don't have any screen in the background. I know a lot of families have, just the TV running in the background. Just switch it off. Nobody's watching it, and it just attracts the attention of the child and will guide their attention away from you to the screen. And what you want is obviously the attention, right? If you do an activity with your child, or if you're having a mealtime as a family, try and enjoy that time together. And I know some of you asked the question, yes, how to feed my child without screens. You really just put them away, and be consistent about that. There's nothing else you can do, but you need to start doing that, because those background screens and those screens doing other activities just take away the attention from the main activity, which is eating or playing or communicating. Then a final one, which I believe is really great for older kids, are the family conferences, because it enables you and your child to listen and to discuss on an equal kind of footing. So if you have an older child where you feel, your child is really using too much screens, watching too many movies, try and find a calm moment when you're all together around a meal, or, when you're in a car going somewhere, and bring it up as an observation. You say, I've recently observed that I think we are all too much on our screens. And I think it would be nice for us to think about ways to change that. And then you start collecting ideas. So, and everyone, your children, you, your husband, your wife, everyone can bring in ideas and share observations. And in the end, you try and make an agreement. That could be, for example, that you have, as Laura mentioned, on Fridays, movie time where you all watch a movie together, that you have 1 hour per day, but not more. Different solutions. And I'm sure your kids can bring up great solutions. And again, it puts them into a position where they feel they have agency, they have control, and it's not you imposing a no, but rather them, staying committed to something. And your agreements, you can nicely put them on the fridge and revisit them after a week and see how it's going. So I really encourage you to try that out. And even with smaller kids, we have done it with our 3-year-old at the time, and even she was able to participate and bring forward ideas. So don't hesitate, even with smaller kids, to discuss it and try and find solutions. But now let's dive into what can we do concretely. So we gave you concrete steps, how you can reduce the screen time, and now you're probably asking, well, but I have no ideas what to do with my child. Like my child is so busy the whole day and wants to be entertained and jumps from one activity to the other. What can you do to keep them busy without screens and without overwhelming yourself as parents? Because obviously, you know, there comes the point where we're all tired. I know that really well. And I think, Laura, you also know that. Sometimes just we can't anymore. So we need to have a quick solution, what we can do in those situations so that we don't have the feeling that we need to resort to screens. And let's look at some of the ideas. The next slide. So what are some of the ideas? Laura, what do you do? Like you're going to a restaurant, you're going to visit your relatives, you know, it might be boring for your kids. What do you do?
You know what? It is so funny that you bring that up. And my son has actually said, and again, he's only had his iPad since December, and he would sit there and he'd go, Mom, I'm so bored. And of course, insinuating that he wants his iPad, you know. So I have a chuckle and I was like, well, let's take a look around. Let's think about what you did before your iPad, because he didn't need to say it. I knew exactly what he was talking about, but oh, I'm so bored. And I was like, okay. So, you know, we walked around in his room and we had a look at, you know, he has a certain drawer for his Legos, and then he has another tub for, you know, his cars, the big cars, the trains, the tracks, all that kind of stuff. So we had a look at that kind of thing. And I revisited all of the toys that he actually has, the books that he's gotten for his birthday, for Christmas, just, you know, with his own money, his own allowance money, you know. So having kids to understand that they still have things that aren't, you know, their iPad or a phone and the TV. You know, we went weeks with no remote to the TV. Like it was, we put it away, and it was so peaceful and so calming, and it was out of sight, out of mind. So there was just no iPad there. There's just no remote for the TV there. Well, guess what? There's family time. So seeing what the kids have, revisiting their toys. Both Maria and I, well, Maria does homeschooling, so she has her own shelf for the children. I also do Montessori at home for the kids. So we have a shelf, but if you don't have a shelf, just make sure that the toys that the children have, the activities that they have, are easily accessible to them. Because if kids have paints, if they have paper, if they have paintbrushes, but you have them all packed away in a box that's up on a shelf that they can't reach, how do you expect them to go and independently be like, oh, I want to paint right now? Have it out, have it visible, rotate toys on a shelf or in some area. You know, maybe they can have their own special area for reading or playing, you know, their activities or their toys if they don't have their own bedroom, but maybe they have a special little carpet or an area that's just for them. And again, revisit the toys that they have. Another amazing thing that we do 2 times per year is we donate the toys that the kids don't use. Both Jacob and Zoe, their birthday is in June and July. So just before Christmas and just before their birthday, we go through all of their toys. They keep what they, you know, what they like, what they know they will still play with, and then we donate the rest. So this also helps to revisit the toys that are, you know, maybe packed in boxes, or, you know, some stuffed animals or puppets you forgot that you had that are packed away somewhere. You know, it gives you a chance after you go through everything. Oh, I forgot I had this. And it can bring out some new creativity and new ideas for the next time they need something to play with. And so, yeah, like I said, rotating the toys. Another thing for when you go out is, you know, the kids can have their own bag. Jacob has like 3 backpacks. So him and Zoe, they both go into the room when we're going to grandparents, when we're going to a restaurant, when we're driving somewhere, traveling far, they go and get their bag and they can choose whatever they want to put in that bag. So you can have, you know, their backpack, their own thing, but as long as you make it that they are allowed to choose what they want to bring. If they're sleeping before a long trip, you know, before you go on an airplane or something, and you take their bag and you just start throwing some toys in there, think, oh, this will keep them busy, they won't need the screen. But then, you know, when they get on the airplane and that's not what they wanted, that's not what they would have picked, they're not happy about it. So do it the night before if you're about to travel somewhere far, or, you know, do it the day before if you know you're going to be going to the grandparents for the weekend or something, but allow them the choice to choose what they will play with, because that will encourage them to actually want to do it when they get there, because it's what they chose, not you. So choice is a big one, which again, we've talked in previous webinars. And so also creativity jar. So along with their bag for the restaurant, a creativity jar. This is something that as you guys go through their toys or something, you can write out the different toys they have or the different activities that they can do. So if they're ever bored or claim they're bored, or they just feel they don't have anything to do, they can go to this activity jar, pick out an activity and open it and say, oh, looks like I'm going to put on a puppet show for my family, or looks like I'm going to draw mommy a card or make her a card. So it can kind of spark some interest in what it is that they they might be able to do instead of nothing, when they think they have nothing, when they really do. So something like that is really good. And Maria, what about some other ideas for long trips, short trips, and other places where they go? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you mentioned that the bag definitely also does the job for us. Like before going somewhere, we just ask the kids what they would like to bring, and they always bring something interesting and are happy with it. I mean, there's nothing bad, I would say, about watching a movie from time to time. It's just, I think what we want to make you aware is it shouldn't be constantly and not more than the recommended time. And I think a nice way is just to use the screen time that you have as family time. So if you watch a movie, watch it together, talk about it, laugh about it together, enjoy it together, make it a special kind of evening, put up some popcorn or some chips, or, make it something special, rather than having that on a frequent basis. Because it is this kind of, special, meaningful time that you can spend with your children. I think sometimes we're tired as parents, especially as moms, feel like, oh, we can't do it anymore. But then just reminding ourselves, how quickly that time will be gone and how little time we actually have to really interact with our children before they're old enough to, will just wander off. I think really reminds us how precious this time is. Use that time in a meaningful way together. And all screen time actually takes away the attention to the screen and away from you. So it's all lost time in the end. So next time, if you're tired, you feel like, oh, I just put them in front of a movie. Try and think about that and spark an idea. And often, like our kids, they come up with crazy ideas and get into a whole building project for the whole afternoon without much more from us needed. Because just they wander around and find some materials. So if you have some materials available, they will definitely find something to do. A last word about the learning, because some of you also asked the question, so what about educational games? Obviously, they're great educational games. I will not put that into question. But I just want to make you aware that really a child to really learn something needs to use all the senses. It's not enough to put them in front of a screen and have them, swiping things from left to right to learn numbers, to learn literacy, to learn colors or anything more complicated later on. They really have to experience it. So the more you prepare for them, opportunities for cutting, for example, just a paper and a scissor does the job. For experimenting with colors, so a couple of colors of brush paint and paper, it's enough. You don't need anything fancy for that. Reading, it's so important for literacy. So, try and privilege those activities rather than putting them in front of an educational game, because they will learn much more. They will really remember it and learn it kind of deeply in their brain rather than, just on the surface. But now we have talked enough kind of on more general ideas, and we want to challenge you this weekend or whenever you're watching this webinar to really spend a day or even a weekend if you can, or even a week if you can, without screens. So what can you do? And here are 3 really easy peasy, simple activities that you can do with whatever you have at home. You don't need to buy anything for that. You don't need to spend a lot of time setting them up. So really nothing to scare us. There are 3 activities for any age. You can adapt them. So that's really nice about them. And you can just start them and see what comes out of it. I'm sure you will be surprised by your children what ideas those activities will spark. So the first one is a recycling building project. That's at least for us, like our kids love that. So what I usually do is just I keep, in a corner in one of our rooms, a big cardboard box with lots of recycled materials, toilet paper rolls, old paper, kind of fancy fabric that we have left over, or fancy paper, or some chopsticks, spoons, whatever we have kind of lying around, and just store that there. And whenever they feel like they're bored, or even by themselves they want to use it, they can go there and they can pick up some materials and build something. And you might have watched an interesting movie or read an interesting book. So try and maybe connect it to that. If your child can't come up with an idea, say, well, I know you're really interested in cars. What about we try building our own car? Or what about we try and build a robot? So you can spark some of these ideas, and then your children, I really can promise you, they will just be off doing it, and you can assist them. It's even more fun if you do it as a family project, and it really strengthens their creativity. So that's activity 1. The second activity is also really nice for smaller kids, but even older ones, they love doing that. And that's a water play station. So if you have a yard or garden, obviously that's great. If you live in an apartment, the bathroom is the perfect place for that. So you just grab a couple of jars, a pot, something to stir, or maybe 2 colors. Food coloring is great for that as well. And you put in water and you allow your child just to mix, to transfer, to come up with ideas, what to do with this kind of water transferring. And it can really occupy, especially toddlers, for a long period of day. You will be surprised, a long period of time, obviously. You will be surprised kind of how your toddler will engage with that. And it's a great way to foster fine motor skills. And then there's a third activity, which is also great for small ones, but also for bigger ones. It's the treasure hunt, Laura. How do we do the treasure hunt?
Yes, the treasure hunt is fun. So for the older ones, I'll just quickly say Jacob loves it where you do like a hunt. So you give him one picture. I'm horrible at drawing, but he can still manage to see what I make out. So I'll draw a picture of, say, the bed and the pillow on the bed, and then an arrow under the pillow. And then if he takes that paper and goes to underneath the pillow, he could take the next paper, and it will have a drawing of the next place he has to go, and clues and clues. And it's a scavenger hunt that way. It's a, and he's like, what am I going to find? And if in the end I've cut him out a heart, and just said, I love you on it, is his prize that he's found at the end, he is beyond overjoyed. So you could do this with it. Jacob's almost 7 and he absolutely loves it. You could do that for, leading to a little gift that you've just bought him, or a book that, guess what, like, here is the first clue to what you and I are going to be spending the next 15 minutes doing. And it can lead to a book that when he gets to the end, it leads him to the bookshelf and he gets to choose whatever book you guys are going to sit down and read. So the treasure hunts are fun. You can also, for Zoe, for younger, she's 2, I can pick out a color, show her a color. What color is this? Oh, it's red. Yes, it's red. Let's go all around the house. We'll get a bag, or we'll get a box or something, and collect all of the things that are red. And you can put that inside. You know what? You can do these things inside and outside. You can do a treasure hunt outside, say, like, let's go and find all of, the animal tracks, that we can see outside. And maybe you can draw them with the older kids, what kind of tracks they look like, come back and, try to, see the different shapes of them. You can also look for insects, or bugs. Zoe loves to do that. They love the bugs. So you can walk around. Thank you, honey. Owie, yes. Okay, sorry. Yes, so you can do things inside and outside, looking for numbers, writing a number, say write a number 3 on a paper, and then tell them to go and get you 3 of something, you know, or they could just do this themselves, have a little their own bucket of something. You know, so sorry, that's your challenge, a treasure hunt of some sort, and having your child find things throughout the house. And this could take a lot of time if you want it to. So it's really interactive, super fun as a family. You could take turns doing it. You can do for each other, for the older kids. And then, yeah, the younger kids, it's super interactive and really, really fun. So it could take a lot of time for them to complete, which is less time away from the screen. So that would be activity 3.
And I see some people joined us. Please feel free, welcome, and feel free to introduce yourself in the chat and tell us from where you're joining us.
So I was talking, I didn't get to see anybody who joined. So yes, hello to those who have joined and got to hear me talk a little bit more. So you know, you've come just in time for us to inspire each other. So let's point our focus on each other and what we can share and give ideas towards each other of, you know, things that we might think of or we have done with our own children to avoid resorting to the screens. So put any of your ideas or fun activities you've done with your kids or anything that you just thought of now into the chat box. And you know, this is something that we can motivate each other with and give each other ideas. Yes. So next screen. So again, you've come just in time for questions, which we are all ears. And anyone who has any questions to share with us, please feel free. You can put in the comments, or you can raise your hand, and we are more than welcome to answer and talk with you about anything that you have on your mind right now about screen time.
And while you're thinking about it, maybe we can just let's have a look at the questions that were already sent to us beforehand.
Yes, we have some really great questions. So Zip will go right into the question part. So Maria, do you want to start on that?
Yeah, sure. So we got, as I was saying, we got lots of questions. I hope that we answered already some of them, but let's still go over them. So we got this question: is it good to have 1 hour screen time on TV only for my 3-year-old daughter? How does screen time affect children under 2 years old? We hope we could give you guidance. So under 2 years old, avoid the screens, and for 3-year-old, 1 hour maximum. But it's really like the maximum. If you can do with less, it's obviously much better. And then we have 2 questions around food and screens. So how can I feed my kid without a screen? And my son does not eat without watching YouTube. How can I get him to stop? I would really encourage you get rid of the screen, especially when your child is smaller. You might have 1 or 2 meals that your child might miss because of that. It's possible, that your child will be upset by it or will not eat as well as usually. But don't worry about that. If your child is healthy, it's not a problem. And you will see slowly, children who are hungry, they eat. So with that, really encouraging you, get rid of the screen. A good thing is to do the first meal without a screen, just not doing it at your usual place at the table. For example, do a family picnic, or, do something exciting around the mealtime. And most importantly, share the meal as a family. Like, don't expect your child to be happy to eat all by himself, just with the food in front of him. And I really want to encourage you to watch our last webinar on picky eaters, because we went much more into detail on that, and we're going to share the link to that with you again. Then we have a question on the partner. Laura, do you want to take that? And I see already also a question by Tsitsi. We'll come to that in a second.
Yes, so we have a question from someone that said, how do I approach a partner who enjoys participating in screen time with their children and is not interested in being advised in the harm? So what I would like to say to that is, let's not focus on advising so much, or about telling them what's right and what's wrong, because you're gonna start kind of like a power struggle with someone. Oh, you shouldn't do this, or this is the right way, that's the wrong way. So what I would suggest is leading by example. So using some of the ideas that we've previously mentioned, which is coming up with activities during the time that you will spend with the child, instead of the screens. And it can also be where your partner wants to join in, or, hey, we're about to play this board game, do you want to come in with us? Or we're going to do, play dress up right now. And, we're going to put on a show for each other. So do you want to join us? And it could be shown to them how easy it is to do things together that doesn't resort around the screens, and doesn't resort, to watching a movie in silence together. Right. So, the interaction, and really making it where everyone can join, and seeing, exactly what's easy for them to do without, again, resorting to the screen. So just being the good demonstrator, if you will, as to what they can do. Right. And then you'd be surprised that your partner just might, join in and say, oh yeah, this is more interactive. Your child is laughing. You guys are having fun. You're joking, you're playing. Like, that seems more fun than just sitting on the couch together, eating, chips and nobody talking, so it just might initiate something and see, okay, I understand. So, don't really make it about what's right and what's wrong. Just do your best to demonstrate and show the ideas of what else can be done. So, again, we can suggest, like Maria said, eating time for, our previous webinar, we really suggested making it about family time, screens away, your phones away, no checking emails, and make it about family. So, we talked about the time, and I think we have another question that was sent in to us. Maria, what can they do? About the peer pressure.
The peer pressure, exactly. So that's, as our children grow older, obviously they get exposed to a lot of different ideas, especially with their peers in class. And already in KG, it can be, that our kids, they obviously want what all the other children are doing or are having. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it. And I really want to encourage you again to find your own path, and to have an honest and open conversation with your child around that. So if your child is, as in this question here, obsessed with Squid Games, but you think it's too violent and you would not like your child to get into that, well, explain that to your child. Explain why this game is too violent, and that what kind of are the negative consequences out of it. So your son might not sleep well of that, might get scared. So you don't want that for him. You don't want your son to be scared and not being able to sleep well. And you can even find examples, outside of those games on screens, where you explain to your child that, of course, every family is different. So if one family, lets their kids you know, swim in the sea, and you are not doing that, or like it's, you know, crossing the street without assistance, and you feel like your child is not ready for that. So you can give those examples to your child to really make them understand, well, every family is different. And every child is different. And if you don't want certain things for your child, well, explain them and then just follow through. Be consistent about that, and be honest about that. So I think that children can understand that, and there shouldn't be, you know, any problem. And of course, you can acknowledge that, you know, your child might want to see those things and might want to be like the others. That's completely legitimate, and you can also acknowledge their feelings. That's very important too. And with that, I see like we have some people already, like Tsitsi put in the chat, do you have an Instagram page or anything to follow you on? So I just shared my Facebook group, and Laura, you can also share maybe your page. And we have 2 other people, so please feel free to open your microphone and just share your questions with us. We are here to, you know, reflect jointly on that question, and to help you find solutions for your specific questions. Ruby, I have 2 kids, one 23-month-old and one 6 years old. Yes, very nice. That's exactly the age, right, where it starts with the small ones. Do you have a specific question for those who joined us now?
Any questions, or even I posted in the chat for us to share some ideas with each other. Maybe you don't have any questions for now, but you know, some ideas and activities that you have done with your kids recently that have been super engaging and very accommodating to the kids, that don't make them want to resort to the screens, and they don't care about watching, you know, any show, and they really interact with what activity that you've provided or shown to them. I gave some examples, but anyone have any other ideas? Or because it's not about just us, it's about what we experience at home with our own kids. So, you know, yeah, if you have any questions or any specific struggles that you're dealing with right now, and just some ideas to share for others regarding the activities that people can choose, you can share those as well. And yeah, Ruby, I'm not sure if you prefer the Vietnamese version, which we'll have coming up next, or if you're okay with the English part of this, which is now over.
Yeah. Hi. I can listen English as well. So, but I go lately, so maybe I want to see other this webinar with the Vietnamese.
In the Vietnamese as well. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, because I come late.
It's okay, no problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we understand. No problem.
Yeah.
Do
you have any question, Ruby?
Yeah. Is there anything that made you want to join?
Yeah. Actually, I want to join because I have 2 kids, and both of them, like when I open the TV, and I cannot turn off the TV, even they watch 1 or 2 hours. It's so I think I missed the answer, so I don't want to question you guys.
Oh, that's fine. I think we can get into that question. I mean, you provided some answers earlier on that, but maybe on your specific, you know, question, let's see what you can do to that about that. And I would first like to ask you, like, why do you think your children are watching so much TV?
And actually the first time, because my kid always to like and they don't want to see the advertise. They just see something like a sing, like a cocoa melon and something very education, but still it's not good because a long time. And so very like a vital, like in the like the first time just 15 minutes or 30 minutes, but later they want more and more. So sometimes I am busy, like I want to do something, so I let them watch TV like a long time, like a 2 hour is okay. So it's not good. So that now it is their habit. Cannot turn off when just 30 minutes is a cannot. I cannot turn off. Maybe it's a 1 hour or 1 hour and a half. Yes.
And what happens if you turn it off? Like, have you tried turning it off, or
They
what
cry.
happens?
No, they cry a lot, and like can you know, I don't want to make them like suddenly I turn off. But my son just only 23 months. I cannot tell them we now this time to turn off already. So I cannot tell them like tell him like this. So I just suddenly turn off. It's not good for him. So he cry and yelling. Yeah, he threw something and like this everything. Sometimes I can deal with him with the breastfeeding, but it's I think it's a not good choice. But I don't know how to do.
Well, Ruby, I think you summarize it so nicely, but we have said in the beginning exactly why the screen time is so difficult, right? Because it's so addictive. They want to have more and more, and for us as parents, it's just so easy, and it's so difficult to switch it off. So maybe Laura, you guided us before, like through simple ways. What can we recommend, Ruby?
You know what, Ruby, we are going to say you are in the hot seat right now, which means you get personal directed advice just for you, which not saying that others are not going through the same thing, but for your specific case, what I would honestly and truly recommend is for you to lose the remote.
Yeah.
Accidentally lose the remote. It has been lost. You guys can take time, because my kids got to that point too. Honestly, they woke up and it was turn on the TV, grab the remote, turn on the TV, sit down, drink some milk. And it got to a point where like, this is enough, right? This is enough. So my honest suggestion for you is to find a way to not even turn it on. And that way is to lose the remote. You hide it somewhere where I just don't know what happened to it. You know, I don't know if you maybe have a nanny or somebody who maybe came to visit you that maybe put it somewhere that you're not sure, or just you can think of some creative way that, you know, I don't know where it is. Did you guys put it somewhere? Let's check the couch and really, really try to, and then you know what? They might get a little antsy. It might, where's the TV? No TV, no TV. But then you can slowly start to bring out some materials, some activities, some things for you to do together. Maybe you can plan this before they wake up, have some things on a shelf or in a box, or hey, here's some colored paper. Do you guys want to do some cutting? 23 months is it's not, I mean, you know, or drawing, take out some crayons, take out some paints, let them get messy. Let them get messy. Put out some things on a table, put out a big blank paper, you know, draw mommy a picture. Why don't we draw daddy a card? Why don't we, you know, get this box, this shoe box? You know, Maria talked a lot about recycling stuff. So do you have some old jars that they can decorate, or you have some like puff balls or glue, something they can make something, you know, something creative. You can also, you know, have prepared some activities that when they see it, like, exactly. Oh yeah, my cars, I forgot about my cars. And then next, but just stick to it. I honestly, I promise you, we went 2 weeks without TV. We went a whole 2 weeks without TV because the remote was lost. And that included mommy and daddy TV time. We have our Netflix shows that we like to watch when the kids go to bed. We didn't watch it. Practice what you preach. So the remote goes away. Don't even turn it on. They will get past that addiction. And then when, we found the remote. Okay. And then this is something Maria talked about earlier. Maria, what about the family time, sitting down, everybody having a voice during when is appropriate screen time?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. So I have to looking for more activity for them. So maybe the core, I cannot do
Lose
this
the
anymore.
remote. Put
Yeah,
it away. Put it away. Promise.
yeah,
I promise you, they'll get over it. They'll cry for a little bit. But if you honestly pretend like you're trying to find it too, and it's
yeah,
not that it was something that you did, what
yeah,
happened? Who got it? Daddy, did you do it? No,
yeah,
mommy. Ask
It's
the kids. Did you guys put it somewhere? Well, go check the room. Go check the
yeah,
bed. What?
yeah,
Yeah, you make it kind of like a bit
yeah,
like a game. And as you're saying, Ruby, I think like in the beginning, maybe it might be a little bit of more work for you. So you need to be obviously committed to it in the beginning, but I can also promise you the more your kids get used to, you know, having a place where they can find paper or scissors or
yeah,
crayons or some toys, you can rotate the toys
That-
and get out some
yeah.
interesting stuff that I haven't played with for some
That's
time.
that's
The
a
more they
core.
get used to that, the more independent they will also be, and then you get your time back. So it's a bit of investment upfront, basically investment that you need to do into that to get them off the screens.
Yeah.
But the more they practice it, the more they also will get become independent players, and then you know it's not necessarily more kind of active preparation that you need to spend.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Aw,
You're
no
welcome.
problem.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question. And you know, have you decided where you're hiding the remotes?
Yeah.
Make it a good spot. Make it a good on top of the fridge. That's our favorite spot, but the kids know that one now. So yeah, find a spot,
Very good one.
hide it. That's it. They'll if you honestly look like you're trying to find it too, they won't they won't get angry. I mean, they might get a little antsy, but you're like, well, you guys keep trying to find the remote. Mommy's gonna do this painting over here. And what? Painting? Oh, kids love paints. Maria talked about water activities that they could do maybe in the bath or in the shower. Let them paint on the wall in the shower and then clean it later. Oh yeah, there's fun stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ruby, for sharing your question. It's really, it's good to hear. Good to see you. And I know we have some other parents here with us. Does anybody else have a question that you would like to share, or do you find yourself in that example that Ruby shared with us? You can just open your microphone if you want.
Hi, this is Sri Lakshmi. I'm dialing in from Ethiopia. And I think, sorry for joining in late, but I think with Ruby's question, I got some of the answers, and as well as question about the feeding, which was, oh my God, it's just something I'm trying to work on. My son is 22 months and yeah, he just doesn't eat without food. I mean, without the screen. Yeah, but otherwise he's okay. And I also feel he's a bit delayed in terms of his speech. So even when I'm trying to make him understand, I'm not sure if he's getting it. Anyways, yeah, so that's been my struggle. But I think great tips on the activities. Water games are something that he really likes. And even playing with new toys, not his old ones. So I think I'm gonna try and get some more during his feeding time.
Yeah. And do you like, Sri Lakshmi, so nice to meet you, at least online, and welcome. Can I ask you, like, are you eating together? Like, do you share the meal with your son, or is he eating by himself before or after you eat?
No, he's usually eating before me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the issues. I'm not sure.
It might
How
be. I think
come?
you're already on a good track there. Like, is it possible to get him to eat together with you or with the whole family? Because that might really change the way he feels about eating. So it's not something that he, you know, has to do, but it's kind of a nice family time actually that he will spend interacting with yourself. So you don't, even like with the toys, like for eating, actually you don't have to entertain a child to eat. No, but the best is if a child really enjoys eating by itself, because it's a nice time sharing a meal together. And it's also for the small ones, you're saying, you know, he's almost 2 years old now. It's still kind of a sensory experience for him, trying to see the different textures, the different colors, and all of those things. So do you think it's possible for you to share the same, like to eat at the same time?
No, I think this is something we could work on. It's just that both me and my husband are working here, so that's one of the challenges. But otherwise, I think we can still do breakfast and dinner. So
Yeah. Definitely start with those ones that you can do, and try and involve your child as much as possible in the eating process. Maybe the preparation, ask him to carry like a plate, or choose for everybody, which glass, who should sit where. Let him maybe also choose what goes onto his plate, like try different things out. We also had a great webinar I think 3 weeks ago on picky eating, where we dived much more into that question. So also happy to share with you the link on that so that you can get some more ideas. But yeah, try really at that age. It's the perfect moment now to get him off the screen. The longer you wait, the more difficult it will get. Laura, you probably also have some ideas.
Yeah, even our nanny seems very conveniently, she's got him onto this habit now, and it's like nobody wants to stop doing it,
Well, he's not even 2 years old. Can you imagine what happens when he's 6 or 7 and you're sitting there and, hey, honey, how was school? And he's sitting there watching YouTube and, not really paying attention to you. So now is the time when they're younger to get rid of it. And the same thing I suggested for Ruby, I honestly suggest for you. So I'm not sure if it's an iPhone or an iPad that he watches during eating time, lose it.
Yeah.
Hide it, lose it. And you just don't know where it is. So either he has two choices. He will sit down and eat with it, or like with just the food, or he doesn't eat. And you know what?
Right.
You have to understand that's okay. I'm not eating, and you have to, I'm sorry, your nanny, you're the boss. Your nanny has to be on board with that. That's the way it is. And it's not her choice. So the iPad or the phone goes away during eating time. He doesn't want to eat. Okay, I understand you're upset right now. Mommy doesn't know where the iPad is. You can sit down and eat now, or you eat later in dinner with mommy and daddy later. And it goes away. Leave it on there. You have, I heard you talking about you weren't understanding if he is, or you weren't sure if he was understanding some things with you when you're talking. I promise you he's listening. He's not saying stuff yet, or he's not repeating, but he's listening. Keep talking. So maybe with the younger kids, I suggest like how I would explain something to Jacob is different than how I would explain something to Zoe. Jacob's 6, Zoe's 2, with less is more with the younger kids. So eating is okay. You don't want to eat now, it's okay. Here's your food, and give them the choice. Again, it's okay if for an hour after he's supposed to eat, or 2 hours after he's supposed to eat, that he's not eating or starts to eat. Then he'll eat when he's hungry, and because it's something he's addicted to per se, or it's been a habit for him watching a screen while eating. So when you all of a sudden cut it, it will take a little bit of getting used to, but once they know, oh, this is just the way, they'll get over it. And you need to be consistent with it. Once you go back, you start the whole process over again. So either today's the day you start it, or you wait until he's 6 years old and try then. I don't know. But do it today. Start today. And that's it.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. These are really good tips.
Yeah.
Thank you. And with that, I think time-wise we're at the end of our webinar today, but we're not out of sight. So if you want to get further personal advice or some tips, or you have been trying now, I mean, for the two of you who kind of ask their questions and were on the hot seats, I would really love to hear from you now after trying it. Let's see where you get like in a week. And if you're still struggling and you have questions, please feel free to email us and to get further advice. You can kind of book a 30-minute free advisory call with us. So feel free to use that opportunity. And before we go, I also just want to quickly share another opportunity for you. Will open tomorrow my active toddler group coaching course for parents of exactly the age of your children, where we will really go into detail on how to get our children engaged in simple activities, how to best prepare them for preschool, and how to get out of those power struggles that we are sometimes really hold it in. So you will get further information on that, but I just want to share that opportunity for you. The doors will just be open for 1 week. So you have to jump on the train so that we can all start as quickly as possible, because I guess, you know, you want to get started. You don't want to wait for longer to change something in your home. And we'll take it step by step. And I can promise you it will work. It just needs, you know, your commitment and kind of easy step by steps so that you can really get to where you want to get in educating your child. Laura, do you want to say some last words?
No, I think I'm good. I'm not sure. Ruby, you look like you have something else to say. I feel it. I feel like you have something else to say. But like Maria said, if you have any other questions that you really, you know, you're really concerned about, or really any other situations, that you're free to message Maria or I, and we can have just a personal chat with you, and any concerns. We're not professionals, we're just parents and educators. So that's where our you know, experience comes from, is what things that we've tried for our own children. So we love to share, I love to talk, and we'd be more than willing to be there for you. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're welcome. It was great having you with us. And again, for those of you who watched the replay, please just feel free to comment in the comments section, and we'll promise to get back to you on your questions.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot for joining. Have a good weekend.
Helpful.
Thanks, guys.
With
Bye
me.
bye.
Yeah,
Thank you so
bye.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh.